Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to round 9 of the 2015 World Sport Series season. We're almost at an end. Once again, the World Sport Series just seems to go faster and faster every year. But what a great final 2 rounds we have to look forward to. We're here first, though. It's the mighty Spa-Francorchamps, a 7-kilometer circuit, by far and away the longest circuit that our flat sixes will have to go around this year. And we have a mighty battle in both the teams and the drivers' championship to spectate, enjoy, and hopefully be amazed by and shocked by, and many other wonderful words. We're sure to be seeing sparks arising as the racing goes on over both the evenings in the next 2 weeks. My name is James Kirk. On cameras once again is Mr. Mike Phillis. And unfortunately, Mr. Stephen McCready's got a bit of a mic issue. Should be back in 2 weeks' time for the finale. But until then, I've got my very good friend, Mr. Sam Jones. And Sam, you've been busily catching up with what's been going on in World Sports Series this year. And we thought that 2014 couldn't be bettered. 4 people in with a chance at the title. And all of a sudden, again, we've got another 4 completely different people in with a chance at the title yet again this year.
Yeah, hello James, hello guys at home. It's good to be back. It certainly has been quite an action-packed season, especially since I last broadcast my voice here at Turkey. And yeah, we are in for yet another epic fight. I remember how close it was coming into Spa last year, and we came out of Spa really not knowing any of the wiser about which way the championship was going to run. That was such how close it was, and I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with that today. But yeah, we've got 4 guys with a realistic shot of getting the championship. That's certainly to say. And who knows what's going to happen today? We could end up really finding out, because we've only got 1 round more to do after today, and we could find out who's going to be the guy who can take the championship, or it could be another repeat of last year where we're looking at maybe 3 or 4 guys running into the finale going all out for the win. And that would be great to see, and especially on a track like Monza as well, which the overtake can be crazy. But of course, first we're here at Spa, and we saw some exciting races for all 3 series last week in the league ladder, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that here with the World Sports Series as well.
The top 9 in the Drivers' Championship, still in with a realistic chance of winning, well, not realistic, mathematical chance of winning the title. Top 4 or 5 in with a realistic chance. 2 of them not here today, though. Let's go on board with Scott Cervic in 10th, shall we, to take you round this Spa-Francorchamps circuit as Marcus Riffle just joins. He's important for Drake's title challenge in the Teams Championship. Going through the source, though, with Cervic. And you've got to remember that in these cars, flat sixes in tin tops, Spa is a very different beast indeed, and no more so than up the mighty Eau Rouge and Radion. That left bit's fine, that right bit's fine, but here, through Radion, a lot of people in the past have cut that left-hander, and it has led to disqualifications in the past. It's been done so much. So watch out for that throughout the evening as Cervic now heads down the Kemmel Straight. Currently doing a very good qualifying actually for Wood Cervic. Been looking much better on the pace in quali. Still needs to put it together in the race though as we head through Lecombe now. Very nice lines actually Cervic has taken. The Norwegian looking nice and controlled on this lap as we head out through turn 9 and down into Bruxelles and 10. Oh, I find this corner very difficult. You want to brake late into there, but you always have to brake a little bit early just to get it as a tight line through there. Then through the corner with no name. Try and figure out the irony of that as we head down towards the mighty turn 12, or to you and me, known as Pouon. Very late braking zone, floating around as much as possible and trying to get on the power as early as possible. You can definitely notice between the top guys such as Siggy, Capit, La Passa, and the likes of Cervic how different the lines and how early the accelerator can be pushed through there. And now through the there's a lovely S section of Campus, turns 13 and 14. Another floaty section where you want to get on the power as early as possible. And now down into Stavolo, turns 15 and turn 16. And this is a very nice and tidy lap from Cervic, actually. Turn 16 is, again, one of these areas which is much more difficult than in the Formula cars. You can't just go flat out through there. You've got to lift off a little bit, but there will be no lifting off through here, through the Panelfrey. I can't even remember my own writing there. Through Blanchimont, where you will be having to lift off, unfortunately. Oh, Surfer going very wide there, unfortunately. And what was a very nice and tidy lap has been ruined a little bit. Down into the bus stop chicane, turns 19 and 20. And that was a lap of spin short. We will see where that puts Surfer. He's fallen to P11 in the time that we have been with him. He crosses the line and he stays P11. But currently, your top three, all in the top four of the championship. It's Siggy, who has 36 kilograms of weight ballast. From Capit with 45 kilograms of weight ballast. From La Passa with the least of these three, 18 kilograms of weight ballast.
Yeah, and that could really play a vital role today, as well, as I think Capit is now lining himself up to start a lap. So we'll see what he can do for walk racing. If he can get another pole position, he currently sits in second position, or only half a tenth, behind Kevin Siggy, who's currently on pole for Enterprise. So a real close battle between these two, and then you have to go another 4/10 of a second back to find La Passa in third position. So those two of Siggy and Capit are certainly looking very strong at the moment, and we'll see if anyone else can challenge them.
Testing your knowledge here, Capit, he's been championship leader for most of the year, won 3 races. Do you want to have a guess at how many poles he's had this year?
You know, actually, I think you're going to tell me that he's had none.
He's had 1.
Oh, so close.
But he had to serve a grid penalty for that race. So actually, Capit has never stood on pole position. As I noticed, one of our new boys here today, Daniel Sharanku, had a particularly good day on Monday with Enterprise GP. Started on the front row there at Jerez, and up into P4 for Triple 20, the Hungarian. Really actually putting down the hammer now in this post-summer break stage. And though he's had new hardware installed, and a P4 in his debut would be a mightily good effort for the Triple 20 driver.
Yeah, it certainly would do. He's been popping his head up and around in quite a few of the series, hasn't he? So he's doing a good effort so far, and he's actually done the least amount of laps out of anyone in the field, it looks like, or apart from Marcus Riffle, who's just gone out on track now. So he'll be trying to post a lap time for Drake Racing, currently residing in 23rd position out of all 23 drivers. So we'll see how he gets on as well. Yeah, just looking, we've still got, about a minute and a half left, so this is where it's really going to start to crank up, and we're going to see a lot of attempts, at least, to improve coming in soon enough.
Let's see, I think, looking at where Kev is on track, he's going through Pouon, so I reckon he'll get another lap in. Risto's definitely going to get another lap in as he rounds Blanchimont. La Passa, yeah, he's just behind Kev, so he might be able to get on there. Sharanku as well, possibly. Maybe let's go on. Let's have a look at what Risto Capit does. I mean, I think he has been on a lap, hasn't he? I wonder whether this is going to be enough to take pole position. He's staying very over to the right-hand side, though. And it was worth it as well. 0.5 of a second Capit found. Incredible with the 45 kilograms of weight ballast. And he's had enough. He is totally done. And I see Kevin Siggy there going wide out to turn 16. I'm pretty sure he will get another crack at it, but that is a mighty gauntlet for the championship leader to lay down there. He's just got to hope that that sort of pace is able to translate over into the race one itself as well.
Yeah, it looks like both Siggy and La Passa are coming down towards the final chicane now, so we'll see if either of them improve, but they don't look like they're on super quick lap times. Certainly not really lighting the timing boards up in terms of outright speed. And Siggy doesn't improve, and La Passa doesn't improve.
Sharanku, the last across the line there, so we shall keep an eye on these guys as they come across. So everyone else crossing the line now is done and dusted. In terms of grid penalties as well, only one to remember today here, and that is Argo Tadea, currently down in P10. He's got a 10-place grid penalty for a collision in Austria. David Juntner going up into P9. Matt Richards going up into P7. A good effort there from the Cosmo driver. No Pedro Oliveira, though. Pedro has also been in the wars, unfortunately. Let's have a look who else is crossing the line. Tadea crosses the line to remain 10th, so he will be starting at the very most P20 on the grid, which won't be too good for him. Sharanku's done, as is Brewster. La Passa and Siggy still going around, as we've mentioned already. Capit done and dusted. Francic coming across the line now in P6. Can he equal or better his teammate? He does better, but does not out-qualify his new teammate. P5 for the triple 20 driver, so Brewster down to P6. Who else is going to cross the line soon? I think Cervic is coming across the line here in P11. Can he depose Ted Air from the top 10? Norwegian comes across the line now, and he does not, so he will remain P11, but he will actually start P10 with today's penalty. Olsen in, Limburg in, Choda done, Klont done. I think Hinz is still on a lap, and I'm pretty sure Ross coming across the line now, P17. No improvement for the Englishman making his debut for Epic, Schroten in, Sander Lane in. So really, we just got to keep an eye here on... Oh, is Hinz up the road before these guys? Yeah, let's go on board with Thomas Hinz then, P16. For Woods Racing, it would be nice for him to qualify in the top 15. That would mean that both Woods cars would be starting inside the top 15 as well. Though, mind you, with today's penalty, technically he's already got theirs. Oh, he has a massive moment out of Blanchimont. I hope that didn't ruin his lap too much. I fear it has, though. Is he going to come into the pits early? No, he's going to complete the lap. He takes a very wide line through the final corner, though. Does he improve from his 1:24.0? He only needs a 10th to get past Menno Klont. No, he does not improve. But looking back now to Siggy and Lapasa. Siggy just come around the final corner now. What can these two do in response to Capit? Siggy staying to the right-hand side. No improvement from him. What about Lapasa? No improvement from him either. Risto Capit with possibly one of the best laps of his life. He takes pole position with a full 45 kilograms of weight ballast by 5/10 of a second. We saw that sort of time last year, and the guy got banned.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it looks like Capit was quicker effectively than Siggy by about a 10th in the first sector, 10th in the second sector, and in the final sector he was about 2/10 quicker. So that's where the 4/10 have come from. It's not much, so it would be, I don't know, surprising if he were to cut, but I'm sure it's a legitimate lap time, and it was a very good one, and he looked like he just managed to hook up all three of the sectors around this circuit. So it's a big gap, but yeah, just small margins here or there that really brought it out for Capit. So that's a good effort for him. And this time we will actually be able to take his pole position as well. So technically the first pole position of the year for him. So very good effort and important for Walk Racing right now, especially with the absence of some of their main rivals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's excellent for the top three as well. I mean, especially given that they're all championship contenders, to sit in the top three. And remember, these are the only guys currently in the field who will in race one have weight ballast as well. So it's an incredible effort from all three. And I mean, Capit, that's just an extraordinary time. 1:20.9. As I say, though, we have got to see how that holds up in the race as well, because surely the 45 kilograms is going to be hurting a lot. And from what I've been hearing from a couple of drivers, they reckon he's harboring a bit more wing on him, which could mean that he's susceptible down the straights as well.
That's interesting. That's interesting to hear, because this is certainly a place that you don't want to be caught out with the wings, because yes, you will get hurt down the straights in terms of being overtaken, but more importantly, if you do fall back into the field, which you will inevitably do in the second race anyway, because of the reverse grid format, then he really will struggle to overtake someone. So we'll see how it gets on and see what wings he runs. But yeah, very good effort. And just looking down, yeah, good effort for Shranko as well. Both the triple 20s in the top 5, so very good for them. Matt Richards for Cosmo in 7th position, also good. And Argo Tida for Enterprise in 10th. Oh, he just avoids someone coming out the top of Radion. Nearly had a huge crash, but luckily managed to avoid it and carries on in this warm-up session.
He'll be starting P20 though, remember, with his 10th-place grid penalty, so it'll actually be Scott Cervic there, occupying the top 10. So, very interesting grid. It's also a small grid, unfortunately, as well, as we come to the end of the R-Factor era, and as interest seems to wane in the flat 6 cars, it's kind of to be expected, especially after the summer break as well. Some people still on holiday, so hopefully we'll have a bigger grid for the final race of the year. But yes, hopefully we're going to have an exciting race nonetheless. We've got 2 races, of course, this evening, both of 10 laps long. So, of course, if you're eagle-eyed and are very interested in the championship fight, as you should be, because it's all very close, and stay tuned. And talking of the championship fight, our cameraman, Mr. Mike Phillis, has made for us a wonderful, wonderful overlay to basically give you the lowdown on the top 4 in the championship. So, yeah, hopefully Mike is bringing that up for you now. And it is all extremely, extremely close. No more so than between the top 2. Capit on 192 points, Siggy on 189 points. Capit has led for pretty much the entire span of the championship. The only time he wasn't leading was after round 1 in Spain. He has had to lug around 45 kilograms in every single first race of the season, bar that first round when nobody had racing at all. No one had weight ballast at all. Apparently we have an error, unfortunately. So, we'll keep on just telling you about this. But, yeah, so close between it. 3 points separating the 2. And to be fair, they've been inseparable throughout the last few rounds as well. So hopefully we'll have as close a fight going into Monza. Canapino is a good he's a good 13 points back from Siggy. Not here today, though. Does that mean he's ruled out of the championship fight? Not at all. Mathematically, he'll probably more than likely still be in with a shot come Monza. Very unlikely he's going to win it now, though. Martin Lapassa then a further 14 points back from Canapino. Looking quite good here with the least weight of the front 3. But I've been hearing throughout the session that, and in pre-practice, in warm-up as well, cutting a little bit. So it's all, it's fine margins, Sam. And you'd imagine between those front 3 and their teams, they're going to be looking at every single thing their opponents are doing to see whether they can't gain an advantage in some way, whether it's protesting for cutting tracks, if it's going slightly over the pit lane exit line, whether it's any form of contact that they have throughout a race. They're going to be looking for any advantage they can get going into that final round.
Yeah, I mean, well, when things start to get tough and you need every little help you can get, sometimes some odd things tend to happen. Fortunately, we don't have safety cars here, so we don't have to worry about people intentionally crashing or spinning to affect the result, unless they wipe someone else out, but that wouldn't happen. But yeah, this is really critical for these guys now, and I was just looking over the championship standings currently, and it's interesting to note that Capit, what he has also done is effectively finished every single race that he started, and he started every single race, and there's only 2 other guys on this grid that can also say that, and that is Lapassa and Yunt as well. So it really shows that consistency can be key, and it's quite incredible that I think both Capit and Siggy have won 3 races apiece, and that's it. That's the maximum that anyone has won. It's been that kind of tightly fought and that kind of so competitive that even though we've had quite a few races, only 3 races have been the maximum won by any one driver. So it shows that it's very difficult to win this championship, that's for sure, and certainly difficult to have 2 good races in one round as well. Considering the reverse grid and having to make your way back through the grid. So that will also be key, is what will happen in race 2.
Yeah, pushing each other on all the time at those top 2, and with Lapassa there as well, very much the underdog, the unexpected diamond in the rough from this year. He had an interesting start, showing promise, and he's just grown and grown in stature. But what Capit has done this year is he's effectively pulled off what David Junt was trying to do last year, and has taken advantage of those reverse grids race where he's either had less weight or no weight at all. And all 3 of his race wins this year have come in those reverse grid races. Siggy's race wins, however, he's only had 1 in the reverse grid, 2 in the first race. And Lapassa, he's had 2 wins this year. A similar case to Kev. 1 in the opening race, but that was at Monaco, where it's very hard to overtake. To be fair, I remember him doing very well anyway. The second of those races in the reverse grid at Silverstone. So very, very differing strategies. And you could definitely tell that Capit has learned to adapt to what has been a struggle this year. Having 45 kilograms for barring one, every first race of a race evening. Not an easy task, but he has really taken upon it with good aplomb. And as I say, we're just going to have to see how good he can do in this first race once again, with the two closest championship rivals behind him and two guys with no weight behind them as well. We apologise for the issues, by the way, going on with the broadcast. We are trying our best. We've got it to you before race one to try and cover both races, as I'm aware there's a couple of you who are disappointed with no race one on Monday. But yes, we are trying our best, and any issues that do come up, rest assured our lovely cameraman is doing his best to sort out all the issues. But talking about race one as well, don't actually count out the guys behind without any weights, of course. The likes of Sharanku, Francic, Brewster, all in with a chance. And Sam, you'll attest to this as well. We saw in the Super Cup race last Wednesday with Wright Tulikas and Wupke Hoekstra, two people who qualified on the front two rows of the grid by a Rouge, and they were both out. Anything really can happen in the opening lap. So I think maybe the championship leaders are going to be employing a bit more of a safer strategy this time around.
Yeah, we have actually seen quite a few crashes through Rouge and coming out the top of it, really, over the past week or so. So it's still a very difficult corner, especially at the start of the race. And if one guy goes, then he tends to take at least another guy with him as well. And that's just the way it is sometimes. And it can be unlucky for the guys behind him. But yeah, like you said, this first race, you can't really count anyone out. We've actually seen that a lot of the winners in the first race have come from guys that perhaps wouldn't always win, or at least they don't look like they would start from a kind of high up position and then win the race. And I think that's really testament to the fact that the effectively the weight penalties that are applied to drivers do actually work. And it's good to see, because it is a shame when you see them used in, say, touring cars and the likes, and it's just like the guy with the maximum amount still wins the race anyway, and you think, oh, what was the point of that? It didn't really help. It's still fair if the guy manages to win the race, but not if it happens repeatedly, and it really hasn't been that way this season. So that's good to see for the league, and it's something that's really worked out.
It was a genius addition to the 2014 season, and it's and especially the split to two races as well has proven a wonderful formula. And as we advance to the race session now, I'm sure that we'll be looking to carry across the same sort of format next year, because I think, in my own opinion, why fix anything which isn't broke? But anyway, looking at the grid now, looking up the skies, looks all right to me. Hopefully our gremlins have been sorted as well. In terms of the rain forecast, there are thunderstorms due around Spa, but they're due after the racing ends. So we might get one in race 2. Not looking to have one here in race 1, though, which will be led off, amazingly, for the first time this year by Risto Cabby. He has had one pole position before this year, but he was not able to take up that pole slot as he had to serve a grid penalty. That was all the way back in Portugal, round 2. Behind him, his closest championship rival by 3 points only, Kevin Siggy, with 36 kilograms of weight ballast. And behind him is the man with the least weight ballast, barring everyone who doesn't have it this round, is Martin Lapasa, though. He is a ways back from the front two now. He's going to have to really win this race today, you would think, to be able to have any chance of catching up with Siggy and Risto as we head into Monza. Behind, surely a best qualifying of the year for Triple 20. Now, last year was a big year for Francic in terms of his Triple 20 career. He scored their only race win, and it was in race 2 of this event. But this time around, he's been out-qualified by newcomer Daniel Sharanku, the Hungarian, looking very hungry for some good points here, following on from a decent International Touring Cup round on Monday. Francic behind, I'm sure they will be thinking, let's get the team some points here today. Cameron Brewster, P6 for Walk Racing, a great qualifying for the Englishman, followed by Welshman Matt Richards back in the Cosmo Autosport car. Tom Parker, who was a little bit worried about his pace today, putting in a great effort, P8 for Epic Racing. We welcome him back after a little break. David Junt, as we see, Johan Lindberg leave the game, so we've already got one retirement already. David Junt is P9 for Lusitania Racing, and Scott Cervic rounds out the top 10 for Woods Racing. Another good qualifying for the Norwegian. Hopefully he can convert that into a decent race. Tobias Olsen, Alon Mazurek starts P11. with Sandeep Choda back in the YDF1 car for P12. Menno Klont starts P13 for Tayfor Motorsport. That's a good qualifying actually for Menno, with Thomas Hinn starting P14 for Woods Racing. Wilkie Hoekstra starts P15 for Racing Team Stroton, with James Ross on his debut for Epic Racing Team starting P16. Whereas Stroton starts P17 for YDF1 with the lone CM Tech racing car Sander Lane starting P18. His Estonian compatriot Argo Teder, after a 10-place grid penalty, but given that Lindbergh is now retired up ahead of him, will start P19, and Wesley Morris will be rounding out the top 20 for Tayfor. And our last two cars on the grid form of Jack Mayer for Lusitania, and a very, very lowly position for Drake Racing's Marcus Riffle. He did make it to the grid at least, but he has got a real fight on his hands to get some decent points out of race 1. But mind you, only 2 places to make up there to get into the top 20. And for race 2, of course, we do have our 15 to 20 place reverse grid. So we could actually see over 90% of our grid being reversed for the second race here this evening, which should be interesting to say the least, Sam.
Yeah, that'd certainly be interesting. I think that'll be a true sign of whether we should increase the reverse grid amounts in certain series or not, as some drivers sometimes ask for, especially when they find that they're just outside of the reverse grid conditions. But nonetheless, we've still got the first race to do yet, and the excitement is about to really ramp up now as we come to the start-finish line. Look at that, Siggy looks very keen to get to his grid start, doesn't he? He's going right past Capit at the moment, so Capit's taking his time. He can do what he wants. He's leading this, and we'll see how all these guys get on.
It is a direct battle for the championship up at the start. Capit right on the edge of his yellow line there. It's Capit v Siggy v La Passa. What can the two triple 20s do behind these three as well? It's sure to be a very entertaining contest as we look to the lights now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and for the first time here at Spa, we're racing. And it's a great launch from Capit. It's an even better launch from Siggy though. La Passa left for dead as Sharanku gets a good launch from 4th. Into the Sortie go now. Kevin Siggy goes for the lead already. Bit of contact and he's got it. Capit's forced out a little bit wide. And that was a move that you imagine Kevin Siggy really wanted to get done nice and early. And what this has meant is that Capit's now under all sorts of pressure from his Estonian compatriot Martin La Passa. He head up through Eau Rouge. Watching people seeing where they go wide. Oh yeah, La Passa definitely cutting that first time. As we head onto the back straight though now. The slipstream in full effect, and I don't think Kevin took Eau Rouge very well at all as the two triple 20s go side by side. Siggy going ultra defensive already. The passer sucking up the slipstream of both cars. We head into Lacombe. It's almost 3 wide. The passer around the outside. Surely not. Surely not, and indeed he doesn't. Capit muscles his way back past Kevin Siggy. Great recovery of that first position. And Siggy, I think, will be looking to actually get a bit of a wriggle on now, because there's La Passa looking instantly down the inside. Oh, he's gone for it. And you might have thought that would have happened. As I said, La Passa also desperately needs to win this race in order to stay in any sort of touch of the title charge. Frančić up to 4th, got past Sharanku after a good launch. I think that's the second time in a couple of days, actually, that Sharanku's had a good launch, but then has fallen back as the lap goes on. But Frančić looking very alive, actually. Remember, no weight ballast. Could the Croatian find another race win on his fingertips here at Spa-Francorchamps? So Sharanku 5th, Richard 6th, Parker 7th, Olsen with a good launch up to 8th, Brewster probably with the worst launch out of the top 10. He is down to P10. As we head into the Stavolo section now, Capit leads from the passer from Siggy, and it must be said, it's not exactly like Capit is pulling out a lot either. And this is where we're going to see whether Capit's wings are really hindering him as La Passa goes wide again. He has got to be careful. He's going to leave himself open for any sort of fire here from Kevin Siggy behind. And remember, of course, the weight penalty, or the weight ballast, sorry, from the top 5 of race 1, that gets transferred over to race 2. So if Capit wins this race, he'll have 45 kilograms of weight ballast to deal with again, which might be something to consider, of course, as we head round the bus stop chicane. To finish lap 1, it is Risto Capit leading from the Passa Siggy, Frančić Sharanku, Richards, Parker side by side, Olsen, Junton, Brewster rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Sharanku went a bit deep into the second part of the chicane there, and that actually cost Richards as Parker is now looking up the inside of him into La Source. Richards holds a good line around the outside, but ultimately he's going to lose out, and it looks like Parker will make this move stick, but they're still side by side just about. Yeah, they are. So here we go, going up to Eau Rouge. Who's going to give way? Neither driver really, and Parker squeezes Richards out. Richards tries to hold it and actually gets a good run coming out the second part of O'Rouge's. Yeah, quite a few people have run wide there, haven't they? And they're still side by side here as we go down into the next corner, Lecum.
I'm just looking up at the front three, no change there as Parker looks on the inside, Richards nothing doing, so Richards holds on for now, but under a lot of pressure from the Englishman, and also looking very feisty. Yunt in there as well, mind you. So a nice, tasty battle just outside the top five. None of these guys, if they remain in these positions, will be getting weight bars for race two. Let's have a look at other good launches. Choda up to 12. To there, from P19 up to P13, looking on the inside. Choda, nothing doing there. Riffle as well. Riffle from the very back of the grid into the points already. So the Brazilian with an excellent start. But wow, we've had 3 retirements already, and we didn't even notice. Clont, Hinz, and Ross out already. I tell you what, if the top 20 is reversed, then Ross is going to consider himself a very lucky man because he's out already.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, isn't it? We've only got 19 runs left, and it looks like a couple of guys are limping their way around the track as well. But back at the front, Lapasa was coming under increasing pressure from Siggy, especially going down into Rivage, but he's actually managed to catch up with Capit again a little bit. So these 3 are still pretty close together, and they really are pulling away from the rest of the field, even with some of the weight that they've got, although Lapasa doesn't have any weight. Does he?
He's got 18 kilograms.
Yes, he does. Yes, he started third, didn't he? So yeah, this is pretty incredible stuff by all 3 drivers right now. They really are in a league of their own.
He's gone wide again, Lapasa. I had a couple of drivers message me saying, watch out for Lapasa. Just getting it stopped underneath the brakes as well. But yeah, as you say though, noticeably getting closer, and you'd imagine that for Siggy as well, Lapasa fighting with Capit is going to be the thing that he wants the most, as behind it's really getting caught up as Sharanku under a lot of pressure. Richards has broken free from Parker, who's now fallen back into the hands of Olsen. The battle for the top 10 certainly not over here on lap 3 of 10.
Yeah, Shranku went very wide coming out of Blanchimont and just managed to get back onto the track in front of Matt Richards to hold on to 5th position. But he's got to be careful because he has exceeded the track at a few points as well now. I think we could be seeing a couple of these drivers being in the naughty books by the end of this one. I think Parker might have just run a little bit too tight for a Rouge as well. It's really hard to tell because, of course, you can never quite tell with the connections, but it's certainly looking that way that drivers are using quite a bit of the track and then a little bit more as Richards or has a look at Sharanku, but no real manoeuvre, and I think that at the front it's getting tighter again.
It is Lapasa's he's within 2/10 of Capit, so we'll keep an eye. We'll see whether any move can be done. To be fair, this Sharanku train is going to be putting on increasing pressure on Dan. He's got a lot of pace to Hungarian. This much has been proven. So many great qualifying efforts throughout the year already, but he does put himself under a little bit of pressure, and he's running in a very good position here. Remember, this is his first evening in the World Sports Series as well, fighting up alongside race winners and podium sitters of Richards, Parker, and Olsen, and Yunt as well, and Brewster in there. I mean, you know, he's in and amongst very respectable company in this series, doing a commendable job, but he's got to remember that these are good points, and perhaps maybe if someone has got a very good run on him, maybe best if they let them go. There is always race 2.
Yeah, there certainly is, but then again, everyone's a race driver and everyone wants to win their little battles, even if it is for, say, 15th on the grid or just out the points. It's always something that you want to do and you don't want to lose out, and I think Lapasa's really looking at Capit. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough though coming to the chicane. I was thinking he was getting pretty close then, but yeah, these cars are not hard to drive. Look at that, Lapasa braking very, very late, and actually, he's hit Capit, and Capit's actually saved it. I thought he was going to go around there, but this gives Siggy a chance, because look at the amount of gap that he's managed to pull back just because of that one little contact between the top 2 drivers.
This is what we were expecting. The weight is, commend Capit on the incredible lap he pulled off there in qualifying. But over the race, when you're lugging around fuel and when you're lugging around that weight, it is a painful experience. And Lapasa now looking to size up Capit through Radion. Again, both him and Siggy going wide through Radion. I'm with you. I think there's going to be quite a few people in the naughty books at the end of this race, but Lapasa, he's got a good run, And he's going to use that cutting to his advantage. He goes to the outside of Capit. He's ahead of Capit going into the comb. Tries around the outside. And that cut has worked for him. This is the problem with Spa. If you overgo the limits, La Paz is into the lead. But just how respectable a lead is that, considering just what happened the corner before?
Yeah, and I think some other people might already be looking at. I'm sure there's people watching this broadcast and picking up on that as well, and that could really boil over into the post-race, so we may not even find out what happens with these results until Monza, but nonetheless, we've still got a big battle on our hands, haven't we, between the top three, because Siggy is still there as well, and I'm sure Capit's not going to be one to give up. We've seen what he's been like in Super Cup this season as well, even when battling with his championship leading teammate. He sometimes perhaps loses a position, but he will always fight back, and Capit is still looking like he's in this race. It's going to be a great battle between these three guys, as I think Matt Richards has actually got up into 5th position as well.
Yes.
So yeah, he got around Spa-Francorchamps. Yeah, good effort from Richards, and we'll see what he can do now.
It was a nice simple move down into Bruxelles, using the Camel straight to bring him into a shooting range. And a nice solid move from the Welshman, who's now up to P5. Spa-Francorchamps and Parker in close pursuit, though. Olsen's fallen a little bit off this little trio now. And behind, Yunt and Brewster were exchanging places a little earlier as well, going along nicely. Sovic 11 still, Ted Air up to 12th, and shout out to Marcus Riffle up to P13 now. The Brazilian with an excellent effort so far, looking very good for race 2 as well. In terms of the rest of the points positions, rounded out by YDF1 exclusively. Chona 14th, Schroten 15th. As here goes Siggy on Capit into La Source. He got a good run out the final corner. And he's all trying the same move he did at the very beginning of the race. They're side by side here. A little wide. And you imagine someone's going to have to give up. Actually, it's going to be Capit. Interesting. Siggy just ahead going into Eau Rouge. Capit will surely have the... as both go wide again. Going outside of the track limits. I tell you what. I'd want to be David Francic in this position. Because if the top three keep on cutting as much as they are, Francic is going to end up running away with a race win.
Yeah, assuming that Francic isn't cutting either. We really don't know because we haven't seen too much from him. We got 3 wide though, down straight Parker. Spa-Francorchamps Richards this contact, and Parker goes around, and Olsen just misses him. Parker gets back going again, and he's going to drop down into 10th position, so that's unlucky for him. Richards holds on to 5th, Spa-Francorchamps 6th, and Olsen has really been able to capitalise on that. He's right on the back of them now. Yeah,
the incident was all, it was Richards turned in, Spa-Francorchamps was spooked and went straight into Parker. It's hard to tell whose fault, if anybody's fault it was. I mean, 3 wide into the comb is suicide as it is, but Tom Parker ultimately the big loser there. Comes back out in 10th though, hasn't lost out too much. Behind him is a massive battle here for P11. Ted Ayres past Cervic. But there's the recovering Marcus Riffle there behind the Norwegian as well. And I'm sure that he'll be looking at Tom Parker up the road there and thinking, I can get a top 10 out of this. And I can help my team Drake try and not only take Vodball first of all, but try and close in a little bit more on Walker's. Cervic loses it round campus and hands the position over to Riffle. Next on his radar will be Argo Tadea.
Yeah, and Siggy now is coming under increasing pressure from Capit. He's coming back. They're going to go through Blanchimont with Capit nearly side by side with Siggy. He's just going to have to slot back in behind, but he's still in a prime position coming down to the chicane. He's actually dropped back a little bit. We'll see if he makes a maneuver up the inside. He can't really risk too much, though, in the position that he's in. He doesn't want to throw this championship away by spinning himself out, and he wisely just sits behind Siggy. But Capit is still there, but this is certainly helping La Paz right now because he's managed to open up a 1.7 second gap between himself and the battling 2 drivers behind him.
It's nice. I think we'll keep an eye on these 3 as they head through the source and through Radion again. That's been the one which people have cut, and rest assured, there are specific penalties for this sort of stuff as La Paz moves up. And does he cut again? Nope, he's fine through there. Siggy though cuts and Capit does not. You know, it's sort of equal. I think Francic was fine through there as well. Very interesting to see the lines, and I think perhaps Siggy falling under a bit too much of his own pressure. This is he hasn't won a championship before, and Capit looking on the outside there, unable to do anything. But he has really got to be careful otherwise, and as all of them do really, as Olsen and Shiranku going to contact, through Lacombe as well. And Olsen cuts the corner massively to get past. Let's see what happened there. Shiranku went defensive into Lacombe, and Shiranku went in okay. Oh, Olsen just turned in a little bit too much and cut the corner to overtake Shiranku. You can tell it's that end of season feeling, Sam.
It certainly is. I think everyone's just going all hell out for it. Of course, the thing with GPV is that if you get a penalty point in this, then you get a license point. It affects you for every series as well. So you can't just start racking them up, can you? You've got to be careful, at least to an extent. And I think that's quite a good thing. We don't want to see easy race in one series just because it doesn't matter. But yeah, there are some drivers out there that are really pushing for it now. And Olsen is actually looking better and better as his race goes on. He's certainly capitalised on a few things here today. And he's looking like he's got a very good chance of a top 5. I think that might be one of the closest battles on the track that we've got at the moment. Yunt is coming under increasing pressure in 10th position as well now after dropping back behind Tom Parker, who's recovering after his earlier spin, and he has got Tida and Riffle all over the back of him.
Oh, sorry. Kevin's gone right at Blanchimont. Oh, and he almost crashes into Capit on re-entry as well. Oh, it's all kicking off. Going back here to Richards and Olsen. Olsen almost there, but not enough. And as for David Junt, he's off the track as well. Oh, contact between Riffle and Ted Air. Oh, and what was Riffle thinking? Just goes in and wow, that was the most graceful re-entry from Ted Air I think I've seen all year. Comes back on in PLM, but Marcus Riffle just punted him off the road. Junt going wide. He's lost 2 positions out the entire affair. It's all kicking off here as Spa-Francorchamps is lap 7 of 10. I think for a lot of these drivers, they're going to be hoping it's over sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and Siggy actually got up the inside a bit going into the source, made the move up the inside, but really broke late, had to basically straight line the corner and take a very, very late apex. And Capit got back past, and Siggy had another run down the straight. He's actually looking up the inside now into Lacombe. So what's going to happen? Capit's going to turn in on him. Oh, I think there might have been a tiny, slightest bit of contact, but both of them survived it. Got through, and Siggy is right behind Capit now. Capit really cuts through the Lacombe and maybe not a cut, but took a lot of curb and holds on to that second position at the moment. But this is a great battle between these two right now, but it's costing them so much time. They're over 3 seconds behind La Pasa now. This is incredible stuff.
Yeah, this is working perfectly for La Pasa, but he's got his own things to worry about. He's done his fair share of cutting, and remember, the overtake on Capit questionably illegal as well. I mean, I told you guys at the start of the broadcast you were watching, Spa has been infamous these past 2 years for World Sports Series because of the cutting controversies, and it's happening here again today. Would not be surprised to see results switched at the end of this evening's work. Behind the top 4, Richard still hanging on to 5th from Olsen and Shiranku, Brewster 8th, Parker 9th, Riffle up to 10th after his contact with Tadare, and with Yunt going wide. Tadare in 11th, Yunt 12th, Dervik 13th. We've got Joda 14th and Schroten rounding out the top 15. The point scorers. We've had one more retirement, by the way, in the form of Sander Lane, unfortunately. Another engine blowout for our lone CM Tech driver. Oh, this has been not the best of races to increase the We Drive Clean message of World Sports Series, but boy oh boy has the championship ramifications been jiggled about and swished around and picked out like a lottery ball. You really do not know where this race is going to end up as we head on to lap 8 of 10 with our leaders.
Yeah, it's actually spaced out a little bit between them now, and it's kind of good for Capit. He will extend his lead over Siggy a little bit in the championship, but La Pasa will be drawing them in ever so slightly. And I have just noticed as well that coming out of Paul Ferret, looks like quite a few people are going wide coming out of that corner as well. I'm not sure if that'll be investigated for cutting also. It's certainly a lot of places you can do it around this track now. They've basically tarmacked over a lot of the corners to increase the safety around here instead of having gravel track which the car can just bounce all over the place. And looking to see, I think the closest battle might be for 5th position at the moment. Olsen just poking his nose out behind Richards, but just a little bit too far back to make a manoeuvre at the moment.
And of course, Olsen was one of the stars here last year in race 2. He drove the defensive race of a lifetime, only to be spun around by Heinemann in the closing stages, was on for a podium. It was the first real glimpse of what he could do, and into this season, he has really shined through pole positions, podiums, and even a win to his name over the course of the 2015 calendar. And I'm sure we'll be looking to add to his lovely tally going forward as we head through into Puon with these three. Matt Richards doing a decent job. If he remains in P5, of course, he'll pick up 9 kilograms. For race 2, not the worst weight ballast, of course, but it still will affect the car. And shout out to Daniel Shiranku as well, who's had an interesting race, to say the least. Not the cleanest, but he is still there in P7, still doing a decent job for the Croatian outfit. Triple 20 is Olsen right on the back of Richards through Savalo, though goes very wide and might allow Shiranku through here in turn 16. And Daniel's going to be hooking up right onto the rear of the Swedish driver as we head through Paul Frere. And coming up to Blanchimont now. Shiranku trying to muss his way through, can't do anything, lifts off of Blanchimont. And I think, to be fair, we'll be quite happy to just consolidate his P7 there as Matt Richards runs off the road himself. Also goes defensive into the chicane, and Shiranku breaks to avoid, still makes the corner, thankfully. As we head on to lap 9 with this slot, it's all very much settled down a little bit, and perhaps thankfully. As behind, look at this battle for the final points. Choder, Junt, Schroten, Servik, all in the space of 1 second. Great stuff for the final few points.
Yeah, I think Choder just recently got past Junt, actually. I'm surprised what's happened to Junt. He's certainly struggled here today, moving back down the order. He was as high as 10th or 9th, I think, at one point. But he's dropped back now into 13th, and he's got Schroten and Sovic to worry about behind him as well. They certainly won't be going away. There's quite a gap then to the rest of the drivers, probably caught up in a few incidents. But let's see what happens, because Schroten had to brake a bit going up Rouge, and just lost a bit of momentum, and Sovic is getting close to him, not quite. So it looks like they might all run single file down this back straight. I think, has Olsen got past Richards?
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. And that was down the Kemmel Straight and into Lecombe. A very nice move from Olsen. We must apologise also whether there are no, if the cameras aren't changing necessarily. Our cameraman Mike Phillips had to go and reboot his internet. So we are still live, we believe. But if you can't see any of the camera changes, don't worry. We're still seeing stuff. We're still trying to relay it to you as best as possible. It's the penultimate lap out of 10 here. Olsen, of course, the latest move. Up into the top 5 he goes. As Richards getting it all hanging out. All shook up out of the corner with no name. Very slippy surface on the outside of that corner past the curb. You've got to be very careful and make sure you don't lose it. But apart from that, really, the closest battle on track, you would say, is probably that of P12 down to P13. Choder, Junt, Schroten, Servic. Servic starting to fall away, as is Schroten, actually. It's more Junt v Choder at this point. All very close, and I realised, actually, I was still on replay there. And Choder's pulled out even more. It's now Junt versus Schroten at this point. Only 2/10 separating the two, and Junt's actually lost a lot of time there on the exit 16. Schroten will be looking to suck up as much slipstream as possible as we head through Paul Frere and into the run-up to Blanchimont. Schroten goes to the inside. Is Schroten not going to try through there? He does, though! Side by side, Junt off the circuit. He goes, rejoins, even behind Scott Servic. And in one corner, Junt was scared off the road, and he's lost 2 positions down to P15.
Yeah, that was poor. It was bad for Junt, I should say. And Shiranku, though, he was looking all over the back of Richards going into the chicane, and really got his nose up the inside. And now, going up to Rouge, he's right on Richards' tail, coming off if anything else is happening behind. But Shiranku really looking feisty now to get past Richards, as Olsen is starting to pull a bit of a gap on both of them. Let's see what happens as we come down to Lecombe. It's a very long straight, and it gives Shiranku a good opportunity to close up to Richards as much as he possibly can. But look at Richards on the brake, brakes really late, and still hits the apex as well. So he actually gained quite a bit in that braking zone alone. Good effort by Richards, and that's just helped relieve the pressure on him a little bit.
Shiranku slightly wild on the exit of Lecombe. As we head down into Bruxelles, Shiranku definitely looking the more likely to pull off an overtake here, though Olsen, he's in a high position here, and he has cracked at times before, mind you, as has Sharanku. And Matt Richards again going on to the AstroTurf there outside of the corner of No Name, and Sharanku surely not looking down the inside of Puon. Contact between the two. That was never going to work, Dan. And he goes wide, and I fear that might be battle for P6 over. I think Matt Richards rightfully holding on to that position, to be fair. It was just a bit too over-optimistic from the Hungarian driver.
Yeah, unfortunately was. And Riffle's actually looking on the outside of Parker at the same time as well. And Parker, I think he's just going to be able to hold on to it through Campus, I believe that is. Yes, it is. Yeah. And yeah, Parker holds on, so he will retain his ninth position for the moment. And that could be important for him.
But we've got to look up to the top now as Martin Lapasa comes down to chicane once again. How will the race results pan out when they become official? We do not know. Cutting galore and contact galore, but at least provisionally he can be happy. He's done all he needed to do. He takes the race one win here with Risto Capit second, Kevin Siggy third, David Francic a very, very good fourth. And I tell you what, he might very well be the most well-poised of these drivers to benefit. Olsen fifth, Matt Richards sixth, Sharanku seventh, Brewster eighth, Riffle did ultimately... Oh, no, he didn't. He went very wide at the chicane there. Parker takes ninth, Riffle 10th. Tedea will take 11th from the back of the grid. Riffle was from the back of the grid as well, sorry, to P10. Sandeep Choda 12th, Schroten P13, Cervic P14, Yunt P15. And your non-scorers today who did manage to finish the race were Hoekstra 16, Morris 17, Mayer 18th. Before retirements from this race were Lane, Ross, Inns and Clont. And of course, we've still got the reverse grid positions of 15 to 20 for race 2. Those candidates are for pole position Yunt, Hoekstra, Morris, Mayer, Lane and Ross. And to me, Sam, that looks like a very, very, very nice situation for a certain Swiss driver.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was just watching that battle at the end between Parker and Riffle, and I can tell you, I'm not exaggerating. Riffle was literally pushing Parker around the final few corners and got a bit too over eager, I think, in the second part of the chicane, and nearly used Parker as a brake really to get around.
He did use Tedea as a brake earlier in the race, didn't
he? Certainly. But Riffle went a bit wide, and I think fairly enough, Parker aimed that ninth position. Good drive for him after getting caught up in an incident earlier on in the race. So ninth position for him, and this second race now, I can't wait to see who gets the pole position. It's certainly going to be exciting, whoever it is, that's for sure.
Well, we should have our cameraman back, thankfully, now, Mike Phillips, who should be in the room with us. So hopefully all is good now. But yes, Parker apparently running out of fuel. So very lucky to hold on to that P9 position there. But yeah, you know, it happens year after year, Sam. The cutting needs to stop. I would not be surprised to see at least a penalty for each of the top three there. At least from what we saw on screen. It did look like they were cutting Radion more often than not, unfortunately.
Yes, I'd probably say yes. It was a little bit difficult because I had pings of over 100 for some drivers, so it was sometimes hard to say, but more often than not, especially in the early stages of the race when we had such close battling, it did look like quite a few drivers were cutting or going wide, and really when that can gain you an advantage or retain your position, that's when I think it becomes a lot more critical, and that's why I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some, penalties or at least warnings coming some drivers' way after this race in 2 weeks' time, which could mean that we could be looking at a very exciting Monza in the final round as well, when drivers have just found out that perhaps they've got, say, a grid penalty, or suddenly they've lost a haul of points that they thought they had, or gained some points as well. So it's certainly one to keep your eyes out for and keep checking the forums.
So let's get the provisional points here anyway. So Capit is on to 212. Siggy is on to 205. But Martin Lapassa there, the biggest winner out of the three by a long, long way. And so he was on 162, not 176. Sorry. So he is on to 187. So he is now past Canapino. But remember, he's going to have 45 kilograms of weight ballast in the next race now, simply because he won the race. Capit will have 36. And now Kevin Siggy will have the lowest amount out of the top three. He's going to be on 27 kilograms. That said, there is going to be weights to the other guys in the top five. So Francic will have 18 kilograms. Excuse me. And Olsen will have 9 kilograms. And of course, you've got the reverse grid madness to keep an eye out for as well. I think the likes of Yunt and Riffle could be very well poised for this second race, to be honest, regardless of what number's called.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to be right. We're still waiting for that elusive number. It's certainly one of the most exciting parts of the weekend, especially if you're a driver that tends to finish in the midfield. It's really a good opportunity for you to shine, and hopefully not one for you to cause an absolute carnage pile-up, as has sometimes happened in the past. And the number is 16, so that is certainly interesting. Not the full field or nearly 90% of it, but still a lot of drivers being swapped around now.
So it means our front row is Wupke Hoekstra and David Yunt. So David Yunt, of course, a man who relished in the reverse grid win, or in the reverse grid positions last year, has yet to take a win this year. And in fact, he's only taken one podium this year, and that was the second race at Spain. You could argue that this is probably going to be his best chance now to secure a second, if not even a win.
Yeah, I think you could be right, but who knows what's going to happen? And I think certainly we're going to see a lot more battling now going on. I was just looking at any of the chat.
We have a Vodball. Fran Lopez has joined us.
Certainly a little bit late, and certainly not good for their championship at all, is it? Considering the level of points that they've just lost out to Walk Racing in that first race with a good result for Capit there. So their championship potentially might be over already, and it might be a little bit too late for them.
Well, I mean, mind you, looking at these, well, we say struggles. I mean, Tadeo and Riffle did pretty good to come from the back of the grid. I mean, they finished in 10th and 11th provisionally.
Yeah, and of course, Fran Lopez won't have any ballast on himself at all, so he will have an advantage over the guys that are just a little bit further down the road from him. That, of course, came in the top 5 in that first race. I think they'll be about 6 positions ahead of Fran, and considering some of the drivers at the back might not be of the same ability as Fran, he might also have a little bit easier time getting past them as well, and then catching up to the guys that are really important to him, mainly Capit and Siggy as well. So that'll be important. Of course, Drag Racing is another interesting target for Vodball, because they'll be looking at Vodball as well, trying to capitalise on any points that Vodball don't get here today. And Cameron Brewster for Walk, was he here for race 1?
Yeah, he finished 8th.
Oh, he had such a quiet race, I didn't even notice.
He was very quiet
race.
Very quiet. He had a poor start, but he recovered decently enough. And it's just more good points for Walk, to be honest. I mean, remember, they have quite a nice lead in the team's championship, and though I don't think mathematically they can win it today, they pretty much look screwed on for it now, especially with Vodball not being here.
Yeah, it would have taken
at least until Fran actually turning up today, but there's hardly any chance he's going to be scoring big points.
No, certainly. It would have taken nearly a 1-2 in both races for Walk to really wrap it up today, but it will certainly cement what they did. But yeah, sorry about that for Cameron. I don't think I ever really saw him featured in any kind of battles at all. Just a very quiet race and a very solid one. So that's all it really takes at the moment. It's just more points on the board for Walk Racing. Very, very important for them. So definitely good for him, as we see quite a few drivers out on the track now, just getting some of the lapping. James, what do you like to do in Walk? Do you like to go out between the two races, or do you like to have a little bit of a break?
I love to go out in warm up, and more particularly just practice those starts. Find out where I'm sitting on a grid, roughly whereabouts, and do a launch up to the line. That's usually in the first race. I mean, I don't take in any single race evenings per se. I take part in Formula Challenge and ITC. So that first warm up, I'll just be doing a start, and then from there in out, I will do probably just one lap on full fuel or a couple of laps on full fuel, just so I'm still bedded. Because I find that if you spend too much time in the garage, well, it's for me anyway, and especially on a controller, when any sort of twitch will leave you going in a wall, it's ever so important to have that consistency still and not be any sort of rusty.
Yeah, fair enough. I think for me, I personally don't really like to go out too much between race 1 and race 2. I just like to kind of zone out a little bit and give myself mentally a rest more than anything before going back into the second race. Luckily for us, we never really do that much in the way of long races. For Formula Challenge, they're usually fairly short and not too taxing on the brain. But certainly if you have longer races, it can get a little bit draining after a bit with all the levels of concentration. And I think we're going to see quite a bit of concentration by some of these guys now, having to try and make their way through this field. It's quite incredible, really. 17 drivers have been reversed. It really makes for some crazy racing. And I think because the field is probably a little bit tighter than, say, Super Cup or Formula Challenge, and it's not so easy to overtake either in these big cars that really have to be wrestled around. It certainly makes it a lot harder for race 2, and that's why sometimes we do see some surprising results, and I won't be surprised if we do see another one today.
We should have a look at the grid, first of all, as we head into race 2, and then I shall get your thoughts on who you believe is going to take that race 2 win, if anything. I'm just getting a message through. Of course, if you do want to get in contact with us, then feel free to hashtag GPVWC Live or mention my Twitter handle at KirkyLife. We'll get to as many of them as possible after race 2, hopefully, if we still have time. We should do, given it. The races are rather short. It's only 10 laps per race, so despite being one of the longest tracks on the calendar, the races do seem to fly by relatively quickly, as our race director gives a proper warning out this time. Watch for track limits. A few of you were pushing the limits a bit in race 1, and as you know, myself and Sam certainly feel that a couple might have overstepped the limit. So, looking at those front 3 rows, Sam: Hoekstra, Yunt, Cervix, Schroten, Choda, Tadare. Can you see a winner out of those top 6, or do you think we're going to have to look a little bit further back?
It's certainly a hard one to call, really. I think we might have to look a little bit further back and taking nothing away from the guys that started out in the top few positions. But it's really, really hard one to call. I'm looking at this. Usually I can pick out a winner straight away. But right now I'm certainly struggling. I might have to take a stab at this and say Tom Parker or Cameron Brewster. One of those two might be our winner for the second race here today.
My money's on Riffle. I think he did an excellent job cutting through the field last time out. And given that these are essentially the same guys that he cut through before, don't think it'll be too much of hard work. Anyway, let's just go through our grid quickly. So it's Hoekstra on pole from Yunt. Hoekstra's had not much luck this year. Yunt's had only 1 podium. Really disappointing considering his season last year. Scott Cervic will start P3 for Woods with the 2 YDF1s of Schroten and Choda P4 and 5. Of course, a YDF1 has won a race this year, but it was Bart de Vos, and it was last round at Hungary. There wasn't a reverse grid race, so maybe that continues. I'll go to there, starting in a bit better of a position this time. P6 with Marcus Riffle. My call for the win, P7, and then behind is who Sam thinks might have the best shot here. Tom Parker, P8, along with Cameron Brewster in P9. Rounding out the top 10, though, is Daniel Sharanku for triple 20. We then have Matt Richards, P11, followed by Tobias Olsen, P12. Remember, Olsen starts off our weight ballast, guys. He's got 9 kilograms. Francic in 13th has 18. Stiggy in 14th has 27. Capit in 15th has 36. And Martin Lapassa in 16th has 45. We then have Wesley Morris, P17, for Tay Forward. He would love or would he love a chance to score some points, as with Jack Mayer, P18 for Lusitania. Sander Lane kicks off our men who retired last race, P19 for CM Tech Racing, and rounding out the top 20 is James Ross. And rounding out our grid, we have a little bit more than race 1. We have Thomas Hinds, P21, Menno Klont, P22. We welcome back Johan Lindberg, who unfortunately disconnected on the formation lap for race 1. And we welcome in Fran Lopez, the lone vodball this evening in one race. Not really the best shining moment of their championship year so far, that much is for sure. So we have another 10 laps of action to come. Once our grid is lined up, we'll head down to the source. And I don't know about you, Sam, but I'm expecting, if race 1 was frantic, I'm expecting maybe a couple more angry moments in race 2.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit more crazy than race 1, certainly with the way the grid has been reversed. Just looking at Fran Lopez, he's quite far away behind the field. I think he might have had a few issues on his warm-up lap, and he's making his way back to the cars ahead right now. He'll be starting in 24th and last, like you just said. But yeah, I think the way it's been going and the way some of the field spread is, we could be in for some exciting racing, and I think some drivers might be getting a little bit more impatient when they're trying to get through the field, especially those guys that are fighting for the championship. They can't lose any kind of points to their immediate rivals right now. It's going to be such a critical race in this championship.
And what for the guys on the top 2 rows? So RTS, Lusitania, Woods, YDF1, Enterprise. I mean, Enterprise really, they're far way up, but for YDF1, Woods, Lusitania, and RTS, big points on offer here if they can keep their positions.
Yeah, certainly it's very important for them as well, so they need to try and keep it as clean as they possibly can.
So I believe everyone's in position, and we look to the lights now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lines for the second time here in Belgium. We're racing, and it's a terrible start for Hoekstra. It's a great launch from Jan, straight off the line, straight into the lead. Tadair also with a great launch through the middle of the YDF1s, and into the source we go. Everyone trying to figure their way around. Oh, YDF1 already spinning, and is that Capit who was spinning as well? Everyone recovered, it seemed like, but Junt with an excellent launch up into P1, but he's got to fend off the troubles of Wupke Hoekstra, who cuts rally on this first lap here. But I tell you what, that looks like a slower line to me, Sam, because he has lost a ton of time to Junt behind Tadair. Already getting past Scott Cervic as well, getting into the slipstream of Hoekstra. He's passed already Tadair. Is he going to go for the double overtake? Unbelievable Argo Tadair. Great launch from the Estonian. He's up to P2 by Noel Cervic. Tapped from Choda behind. Just about saves it. Saves him before is Johan Lindberg. He is not having a good evening, is he? Retires for the second time, unfortunately. This time on lap 1. Only completed 1 lap this evening. Marcus Riffle, he's had a decent launch up to P5. Parker 7th, Schroten 8th. Brewster 9th. Richard 10th. And look at Siggy. Siggy has had a great launch. He's up to P11. Capit bashing with Daniel Sharanku down in P13 and 14. So Capit not having the start he wanted. And neither is Martin Lapasso, who finds himself down in P16. Talking to Fran Lopez, by the way. He's up to P17 already. So he's had a very nice launch himself as, Hoekstra! Off the road he goes. And was that contact with Tadair, I wonder? Nope, he just lost it under braking. And out of the points he goes. So let's look to Junt then. He leads by 1.1 seconds to there. P2, and look at Riffle. Riffle's gotten past Skirvik as well. So Hoekstra off the road. Cervic dispatched with. Riffle is now free. And in P3, Parker following through on the outside of Savalo too. The P4, a great move there from the Englishman. And Cervic and Choda falling down the order. We've got Schroten there. Brewster, Richards and Olsen there as well. And look at this, Siggy and Capit battling for the championship. Capit was able to dispose of Sharanku quickly enough. And this is going to be very close stuff. This is big for the championship fight for sure, as Choda and Cervic are maxing positions up above. Look at this, almost going, look at Siggy up the inside, opportunistic. He tries to squeeze through. But at the end of lap 1, it's Junt from Tadair, Riffle, Parker, Schroten, Cervic, Brewster, Choda, Siggy and Sharanku.
Somehow they've all got through that massive traffic jam. I think that was all started when Sovic and Parker went wide coming out of Blanchimont, and they're still all beating and bashing and banging, and wow, look at this, and they're really going through at it through La Source, and Siggy has actually been the most opportunistic out of the three championship contenders. He's made his way into 9th. Then we've got Lepasart right next to Sharanku in 10th position, and a little bit further down the road it's Capit in 13th position. He's perhaps been a little bit more wary out of the three. He's got a lot more to lose, so it's understandably so.
And that's it. Sorry, this is interesting as well for Siggy coming through. He's got to get past Brewster, Capit's teammate, but Siggy breaks much later and takes Choda in the proceedings as well. He's up to P7. I tell you what, that move, that opportunity to move down the inside into the chicane, he had to lean on a lot of people to get there, but it has proved a wonderful move for him as Capit is now languishing all the way back in P14 as Brewster's off the track. A bit of contact there with Olsen, I think it was, or it might have been Lepasa, sorry. But Lepasa getting through as well, Olsen through, Brewster down to 10, but Capit down in P12. He's struggling a little bit now.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he managed to get past Sharanku, and now he hasn't. Sorry, that's Sharanku's teammate, Francic, and now he's got Sharanku ahead of him. Brewster won't be a problem at all because Brewster knows what he needs to do. He'll be a very good teammate, and but he's actually coming under pressure himself from Sharanku after that off. And Sharanku's going to go around the outside, and I think he might pull it off because he'll have the inside now, and he's done it. Yeah, so great maneuver. There we go. Brewster just moves his car gently out of the way, so Capit makes up another position.
Oh, yeah, Francis trying to run that side. Oh, that was, good let through from Brewster. Good driving. Capit let free now, up to P11. But Siggy and Lepasa go ever further up the road. And look at Siggy here now, right on the back of Schroten and Cervic. And he has got to be very careful. He knows he's faster than these guys, but he's got to overtake them safely and without damaging his own race.
Yeah, he certainly does know. He's going to have a look at Sovic up the inside into the chicane. He'll probably brake a little bit later as Sovic really squeezes him a little bit, and I think Siggy returns the favour in the second part of the chicane. But he gets the manoeuvre done, so he's 9 to 6th, but Lepasa is certainly closing up on him because Lepasa's probably getting through this traffic a little bit better than Siggy right now.
It's strange. At one position, Lepasa was 17th, and now he's up to 8th. It's how things can change, and Schroten there getting a little bit leery out of the source, and this will not be hindering, this will be hindering Siggy quite a lot actually, as he has to let off a little bit. Surely he's not going to look to the outside of the source. No, but he's got to fall back in. Oh, wow. That was very close, and he has to dive to the outside. Oh, and the pass is off. Does he come back on? Yes, he does, and I think that was, that was one of those moments where that was 4 cars going into a Rouge, and people had to dive out. That has lost Lepasa a lot of time, though. And Siggy dives to the inside of Schroten. He's surely not going to make it work from there. Nope, Schroten holds on just about, though. Siggy around the outside. He is a man on a mission.
Yeah, I don't know if that's particularly fair after what just occurred. Going through a Rouge. Someone else is off in the background. Is that Capit? I think he's just gone wide, hasn't he? Rounds it back up and nearly smashes into the back of Sharanku, who's actually just got past Scott Sovic himself, who's sliding all over the place and losing a lot of positions right here. This is certainly treacherous stuff for all these drivers, but so far, Siggy and Lepasa have made their way through.
Should we look up at the front? Because it seems that we haven't talked at all about the guys up there. And it's very much a breakaway quartet currently. David Junt still leading by 1.1 seconds today, holding on very nicely. Marcus Riffle not being able to make the same impact that we thought he would have, really, considering his past races. He's there in P3, and Parker still there in P4. Then it is Siggy, who is starting to break away from this pack now, led by Martin Lepasa. Remember, with 45 kilograms of weight by Lepasa, so an incredible effort so far. He's leading Schroten, Olsen, Sharanku, Cervic, and Capit is the top 11. And look at this battle here for P12. Lopez, he's into that position from the back of the grid. Great drive from the Spaniard so far, but he's got a lot to contend with here as well. Brewster and Francic hot on his heels.
Yeah, certainly are. Look at them. They're all over the back of him, but I have a feeling he might pull away Moving a bit further up, Sovic's gone wide. Olsen's gone wide in this battle for a 7th position. And Schroten's been hit by Sharanku. And they're both going to go wide, are they? Oh, somehow they both keep it on the track. But Olsen's going to get around the outside of Sharanku in the second part of the chicane. But they're going to go side by side still towards Le Source. So this battle is certainly not over yet. And this is just in front of our championship leader, Capit, now, as Olsen puts back in and actually pushes Capit out wide. But Capit still pretty much makes the apex. So lucky for him and good recovery.
I was very scared for Capit there. Very, very scared. That could have been a nasty accident as the 4 go up once again into Eau Rouge. It is hairs raised on the end of your hands moment. I tell you what, all 3 of them ahead of Capit really didn't take Eau Rouge that well. Capit's going to try and capitalise on this as much as possible, as we have got a couple of retirements. We'll get to them as Capit is past Olsen, and I believe he's past Sharanku as well. Can he make it the triple through the Kemmel straight? No, he does not get past Schroten. And in fact, Olsen found the outside! Great defensive move there from Olsen. He holds on just about to P8. I thought Capit had it then, but the Swedish driver was having none of it.
Yeah, but now he's going to surely have to defend into the Rivage, and he's really lost it. Oh, Capit had to stop, and Sharanku actually hits the back of Capit, but they all managed to still get around the corner. This is really hair-raising stuff, and so close. And Olsen is literally power sliding it through every corner at the moment. He's really on the ragged edge, and it's not helping him at all as he come down to Puon, and Capit nearly has his nose take clean off and just has to hold back in 9th position. But again, he's losing all this time to the other guys ahead of him, and this is critical for the championship right now. Mike
Phillips is scared, and I don't blame him. I think we all are. It's hands on edges, or butts on the edge of seat moments. And I remember last year as well, Olsen was particularly slidey as Capit drifting out to campus, desperate to find any way past Olsen, who is holding on admirably, but he might have got the inside of Stavilo. Yes, he does.
Oh, what's happened to Oh, sorry, I think it's just timing.
Time being? Okay. It's cool.
Falling back to timing.
Cool. But yeah, Capit with a great move up the inside of Stavilo 2 there. Down to 10-16. Oh, Olsen has to be Capit Sharanku. So Capit up to P7. Or actually, might that be P8, sorry. As the pass has gone off the time beam. Everyone going wide after that. Goodness me. I think, yeah, Olsen has to concede that. Capit absolutely the fastest driver. That's what's happened with Janssen Tedet. Oh, that was another timing beam glitch, I think. Where is the passer?
He should be in 6th. Yeah, he just popped back up now over the line. That really scared me for a moment. Sorry for cutting across, but that's all right, and we're up to racing. So yeah, Capit's in 8th. He's now got Schroten ahead of him, who should be another target that he can realistically get his hands on. And Lopez was actually doing really well. He's actually dropped back behind Francic again now, but he was coming up to the back of this train as well. So don't rule Lopez out of a good run at the end of this race either.
Oh wow, that's not how you take a Rouge though! And he's had a hefty whack there, Lopez. Just go through our retirement so far. It's Lindbergh, Mayer, Ross and Lane out. 4 already. It's halfway through this race. And I tell you what, we've got a new battle up at the front here. Riffle has found some pace. And he is right on the rear of Argo Tadeo, who goes wide through Bruxelles. I think this is a done deal, unfortunately. The Brazilian is simply much faster. Through he goes, up into P2. Next on his hit list will be David Junt.
Yeah, and whilst all that was happening, Roy Schroten defended up the inside going to...
Sharanku's round, sorry. With Schroten, sorry, he was on the inside of Bruxelles. He's lost a host of positions, Sharanku down to 13th. But yeah, Capit went past Schroten, I know that much.
Yeah, he certainly did, and yeah, that was unfortunate for Sharanku as well. I think now Sovic is going to have to defend from Francic as well. I thought something was happening there. We're getting some messages. It's you don't know where to look at the moment. It's all over. You know, everything's going on all over the place. And yes, Sovic is really having to defend from Francic. Francic goes up the inside. There's contact between the two. And Francic is actually going to hold it around the outside for the second part of the chicane and gets it done. Yeah, good by Francic and moves himself up into 10th.
And next on the road is the damaged Fran Lopez, who had the most hilarious of moments through a Rouge and was still able to save it. Still, if he can hold it here, it'll be good points for Scott Cervic, the Norwegian who sounds suspiciously like a Scotsman. He will explain that to us one day. But meanwhile, up at the front, going on to lap 6 of 10 here, is David Junt for Lusitania Racing. Marcus Riffle has left her there for Dust, and he is now 1 second behind the Swiss driver. I think this is a case of, can David find any more pace first of all? And if he can't, can he pull out the defensive race of a lifetime?
That is a real question, isn't it? We saw how much he really struggled in the second half of the race in race 1, so I don't know if there's going to be a repeat of that or if that was just because of external circumstances, but it's going to be an interesting one to say the least, as the front 4, 5 are really spread out at the moment, but not too far away from each other to potentially have a battle later on. I'd expect to catch up with Ted there, as I think he is doing at the moment. Ted's looking a bit Larry under braking, perhaps struggling now a little bit with the brakes. Anyone else having a real battle? Not really. It's actually calmed down. I'm surprised we're seeing this right now, James.
It's all nice and calm, isn't it? It's lovely. But interesting stat brought up from our cameraman extraordinaire, Mr. Phyllis. 6 seconds separates Siggy, Lapassa, and Capit. It is truly extraordinary that even through all of this race so far, they are still, so close. But I'm looking up at today here. If he really is Larry, if he gets overtaken by Parker, he could do his teammate, Kevin, a real deal of help here. Because it would make sense, surely, if he was to fall behind Kevin so that the Austrian could gain more points near the end. Or like right at the line, perhaps.
Well, I think the way that Kevin's going at the moment, he's going to catch up with Tadej pretty quickly anyway, so I won't be surprised if it's just a simple manoeuvre out of the way.
Up to Riffle, sorry. Riffle's right on the back of Yunt. And I think we might have a good position switch here. Riffle on the outside of Yunt. Now on the inside of Yunt, going into Blunchemont. He's going to try and put it up there. No, he backs out, Riffle. Very wise, I'd imagine. Goes a little bit wide behind Tadej and Parker following in suit. Riffle has had his moments this year in terms of contact. And I think Tadej, Parker, and I think more importantly, Siggy, Lapassa, and Capit behind will be hoping that more points can be gained from the two of them potentially taking each other out. Though it seems that actually Yunt has actually pulled out quite a nice little gap once again, but we'll see what that gap has become once we head into Lacombe for the 7th time of asking.
Yeah, but hopefully Riffle realises that he's got time in hand, and he's not under any kind of pressure from anyone behind him currently, so he can bide his time a little bit and just set Yunt up for a perfect overtake. But certainly over the last couple of sectors, it looks like Riffle's dropped back a little bit, so he's going to have to gather it back up again. I wonder if Yunt did make a mistake on that previous lap, and that was why, the gap came down to next to nothing effectively. But I won't be surprised if we see yet another battle coming for the lead in the future, as Schroeter now is defending from Francic as they go side by side for 9th position, down straight up towards Lacombe. But this battle might actually already be done by the time we get there. Yeah, that Schroeter actually breaks a little bit early and just slots back in, so I think he knew where he was going to be beaten anyway, and drops back into 10th position now.
Still a mighty race here for the YD F1 driver, to be fair. Been doing very nicely. Scott Cervic down 11, Lopez 12th, the recovering Dan Sharanku 13th, Hoekstra 14th, and Hinds was in, he's still in 15th, sorry, there was just a bit of a timing beam.
Yeah, I think Plant just had a spin.
Someone who's really suffered, actually, which I haven't noticed, is Cameron Brewster and Matt Richards. They're down in P19 and P20. I do wonder whether they've had a bit of contact, perhaps. As looking back up to the front here, Marcus Riffle starting to turn the screw again. I don't know about you, but I think Siggy is catching up more to Parker and Tadej than I don't know. Are the top 5 coming together? I think at the moment, Siggy's actually faster than everyone. He's about a second a lap faster than Yunt. Obviously, that's going to kind of cancel itself out in a second once he gets up to the back of Parker, because Parker's not going to make it easy. He's a good driver and not the easiest guy to get around, so Siggy will have to really work hard for it. Oh, Yunt! Very, very deep into the chicane. It almost went Jonathan Wass on you. But David Yunt there. Poor run out of the chicane. Here comes Marcus Riffle then, up into the slipstream. He knows it's not sensible to go for... Oh, no, he doesn't. He's just going for it straight away. And into lead he goes. Yunt's going to get the better run out, though. Here we go now. They're going side by side down to La Source. I'm sure, Yunt's just going to hold in on that one, see whether he can't get the slipstream up to Lecombe through Eau Rouge and Radion. We go now. One Drake has won this evening already. It looks like it might be a double Drake win if the scenes are to be believed. But Yunt, he tucks up into the slipstream of Riffle. Riffle going ultra defensive already. The Switz goes to the outside. Is he going to break later? Can he go around the outside? He breaks on the curb. He tries, but to no avail. He's going to keep the pressure on as best he can behind Tadair, holding on from Parker. Siggy, ever closing. Lepassa not really making much impact. Neither is Capit. Schroten and Cervic going side by side into Lecombe as well in P10 and P11. Cervic around the outside of Schroten. Lovely move from the Norwegian, and the Woods driver is up into the top 10 and past the Dutchman. As back up at the front, Yunt staying hot on the heels of Riffle, and Parker staying hot on the heels of Tadair as well. It is all lighting up in these final few moments here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's lap 8 of 10 as Parker. Oh, look at this lovely speed through Pouhon Parker has. Yunt unable to do anything. Parker looking like the more likely to make an overtake here. Not going to be through Campus, or is it? Tadair holding up very much. Arguably acting as the perfect front gunner here as Kevin Siggy is closing all the time. He can see more points within his grasp. And at the end of the day, those extra points could mean the difference between winning and losing a title.
It certainly could. And yeah, I think just going back to Riffle, that was the key moment for him. I think the only way he wouldn't have won this race is if Yunt had held him up long enough and perhaps someone else had got past him. He never really got past Yunt. But now Parker, yeah, he's looking right on the inside of Tadair now, going up through this long straight up to the chicane, and Parker's just had to slot back in behind, but he might go for a dive up the inside. He's certainly looking, he's thinking about it, but no.
Oh, there goes Siggy! Oh, Siggy, no! Wow! That was far too hot from Kevin Siggy, unfortunately. And I think he was lucky that he crashed into Parker's door there. But he's got to be a lot more careful there, because he's possibly ruined the opportunity to get a P3. Well, I don't know. Parker's going to be riled up by that, though, surely.
Yeah, it was a bit of a late one, wasn't it, by Siggy, and he really had to use Parker as a brake, and nearly spun himself out in the process doing it. So we'll see what happens now, because Parker's actually getting a bit closer to Tadair, but I don't think any of them will really do anything now up the straight, because they're probably a little bit too spread out, although Parker's getting closer and closer to Tadair. So we'll see what happens down the straight. Yeah, Parker's actually way quicker, isn't he? Tadair's gonna have to go defensive straight away. Parker's looking at the outside, going to Lecombe, and there's contact between the two, and oh wow, they've both managed to keep it on the track, and Tadair's actually retained the position. This is actually giving Siggy a chance to look up the inside of Parker, and he just has to slot back in as well. That was some really feisty contact between the two there.
Hair-raising moments. I've certainly seen plenty of those incidents in my time where you look up the brakes and you keep on going straight, and there's nothing you can do. And I tell you what, Parker's going to feel he's on the end of an Enterprise conspiracy here, unfortunately, as now he's got Siggy all over the back of him. It's lap 9 of 10 here at Spa-Francorchamps, and Kevin Siggy right on the rear of Tom Parker. You would think that with the pace Siggy has got, that he would be able to keep it. Or he would be able to take Parker, sorry, down into Campus. He's gone very late again. He's got to be careful. He's leaning on Parker so much. Parker just about holding on. Siggy's got to calm down. Otherwise, he might find himself with a little bit less than just one position out of his grasp.
Yeah, look at that. I was just looking at the guys behind as well. But yeah, Siggy's all over the back of Parker right now. And we're going to go for another repeat, potentially up to Blanchimont and then the chicane, where it all really kicked off on the last lap. And will Siggy go for another late lunging maneuver up the inside? Well, at the moment, he's looking around the outside of Parker effectively as we come to the chicane. Parker's gone a bit wide, but actually gained a bit over Siggy. So Siggy's going to be way too far back now. He's just going to have to slot in behind Parker. Parker takes an early apex into the first part of the chicane and perhaps compromises his exit a little bit, but still gets very good drive out, and so that means Siggy's fallen even further back. But you can tell impatience is showing now, as there's only one lap left for these guys, and this is it for Siggy. He's got an opportunity to gain a couple more points, because surely if he gets past Parker, he will get third anyway due to team orders, and that could be critical, considering that Capit right now is still in 7th and looking to finish that way as well.
Yeah, indeed. They head up through a rouge. I'm actually looking at David Junt here, who's not let go of Riffle since Riffle gained the lead. And he's in the slipstream of Riffle. I do wonder whether Junt might be able to make a late move here. He closes up under braking. Could we yet see a final stab for the lead?
Yeah, we potentially could, and Riffle is actually looking like he's working very hard for this because he ran a little bit wide there coming out the final part of Lakeum, but holds the apex coming through Ravage and down the hill, the corner with no name, using all the track and then a little bit more as well as we come out of it. Yeah, just looking very good actually, very composed through the corners. He's still got about half of the lap of the track left to do, and this is going to be a very long half of the lap for him. It's not over yet, that is for sure.
3/10 between the two. Very close finish to the end of race 2 here. Only 2 more races left in the season after this one. But to be fair, actually, Riffle has opened up a nice gap through the middle sector. And heading through now into Stavolo 1. Riffle leads nicely. I think that battle is nice and done. Probably worth looking back to the podium now as Parker's gone wide. Parker has gone wide through the Stavolo section there, and I worry about Siggy here. I worry about Siggy. He might very well go for a late stab. Argo didn't have the best exit there as well. We're going to keep an eye up on the leaders. We're keeping an eye on the podium as well. It's going to be a photo finish for sure. Marcus Riffle though comes round the final 2 corners. He wins here at Spa for race 2. It's a Drake win. Junt will come home second, but look at this. Kevin Siggy, Argo's let Kevin Siggy pass. So Parker will get the podium. Siggy will get the extra 2 points. Argo falling back into P5. Lapasa P6. Oh no! Lapasa has let through. Oh, he might have let through. Might have run out of fuel, but Capit takes P6. Lapasa P7. Olsen P8. Franchich P9. Schroten P10. But look at Lopez going off the track. Goodness me, Schroten P10, Lopez P11, Sharanku P12, Cervic P13, Oakstra P14, and Hinzel finish off the point scorers as Choda's recovering from a spin in P16, Brewster 17th, Richards 18th, whereas Morris will be 19th, although he stopped on track and not actually completed. Your retirements, Morris, Clont, Lane, Ross, and Mayer and Lindbergh. What a very interesting final corner there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking back at Lapasa and I can't really work it out. He kind of slows down coming out of the chicane, but then does seem to pick the pace back up a little bit once Capit gets past. I mean, there's no reason why you'd let Capit pass. I can't work this out at all. It must have been down to fuel. I don't know if I just don't read these cars very well and that's how they run out of fuel. It just looked very odd to me, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that was fuel that he just ran out of right at the very end coming into the gain, and it cost him a position and certainly helped Capit out just to regain a little bit back in terms of damage limitation over Siggy as well. But nonetheless, Riffle, you got it right, didn't you? He's the guy that wins the race, and a great race for him as well. Just did a bunch of clean passes to really sieve his way through the field. I didn't really see him do anything wrong in this race, so it's a very good, clean race from Riffle. Very pleased for him. I think he looks very happy about it as well. And David Junt as well, also just to say to him that he did a very, very good job. Really, considering he didn't have the best of race ones really, certainly struggled, and it was such a turnaround really. He came so close to winning, and perhaps if he was a little bit closer in the final lap he might have had a chance at looking up the inside of Riffle, but it wasn't to be. But still, a second place for him is good nonetheless. And to round out the podium for Parker, he got it admittedly because Teddy moved out of the way right at the end, but some good scraps by Parker as well, some very entertaining racing, and I'm sure he'll be very pleased with that 3rd position here today as well.
Absolutely. So let's actually get the final provisional points tally. I remind you, I mean, we didn't see half as much cutting, I don't think, in race 2 as we did in race 1, but it was still there. So Capit gets 10, Lapasa gets 9, Siggy, crucially, gets 13. So going into the final round provisionally, Capit is on 222, Siggy is on 218, so he only lost a point from this evening, provisionally, of course. And Lapasa on 196, so he is still in with a chance of winning, of course, but he's going to need an awful lot of luck in the final round of the season at Monza to secure that championship win. Very interesting scenes. Very interesting scenes. We don't know what really happened to Lapasa. We can pretty much be assured that Tedder was a team order. Either way, Capit and Kevin both games. It is getting very feisty. Very feisty indeed.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think it is a case, like I was talking about at the start of the broadcast, that effectively we haven't really discovered too much in this round in terms of the way the championship's going to swing. I think it's fair to say that Canapino is now out of the championship running, but between the three of Capit, Siggy, and to a lesser extent Lapasa, it's certainly still going to be entertaining and very close between the lot of them, and that is why you have to tune in for the final round in Monza. It's going to be an absolutely outstanding, cracking race. What a classic track to finish on, and wow, that race too, when we get that reverse grid, that is going to be one hell of a final race to end the season.
Plenty to look forward to, and we've got plenty of people to interview as well. Just bringing them in now. Let us start then. We've got a race winner in here. Unfortunately, Martin not joining us currently, but we do have the race 2 winner, Marcus Riffel. A difficult start to your evening, starting from the back, but a great fight through in race 1 to finish in some good points, albeit a little bit of contact here and there, but a significantly better race 2. A good launch, plenty of clean moves, and ultimately a race win to take away from the evening as well.
Hello, sorry for the bad microphone. Yeah, very hard race 1. I love to play that.
Your mic's a little bit too loud, Marcus. Could you potentially turn it down? Huh?
Can you repeat, sir?
Nobody can understand you. You're a bit too loud, mate. Maybe just type it to me in the chat.
I will type and you can read, or you type. Let the other speak.
That's a little bit better. Perhaps just type your answer in the chat so I can relay it. So basically, good evening for you. Happy with your race win? Yes. Okay. So we're just going to get some relaying through from Marcus. Unfortunately, a bad time today with the mic. Okay. So he's just going to write his replies. We'll get some feedback from him near the end of the interviews. So I think we'll leave other guys. Let's go to Tom Parker then. It seems that your worries about pace once again thrown out the window, and to add to the wonderment of today, the championship battle led to you earning a podium.
Yeah, it was unexpected, must admit. But race 1 I managed to run out of fuel going over the line, which is why I wanted to have a bit of a go at Cam, but couldn't quite do it because I decided to not put enough fuel in the car. I ran out just going over the line. I must actually thanks Marcus for the push going down towards Blanchimont. I probably wouldn't have made it otherwise. Race 2, yeah, good start. Up to 4th at the end of lap 1. Just tried my hardest. Thought pushed a bit too hard. Sometimes I might have been over the limit. I don't know, I'm going to have to check. But 3rd in the end because of some team orders. Can't complain with that. I mean, I think I could have had it anyway. I think it was a bit of a push and shove at the end of the Kennel Straight. But I'm happy. 3rd place, can't complain with that. I mean, I've not scored for 3 rounds before this. So yeah, getting better.
Getting better. And still, a race win eludes you. Could Monza be the place? Because I remember back in 2013, last round of the 2013 World Sports Series season, you got that race win in race 1.
True. Yeah, we'll see. Might be race 2 jobby, but we'll see. I mean, I really want to win. I want to pay Lee for all the he's had to put up with me quite a long time, so I want to repay him with a win. It'd be nice, but we'll see. I mean, I'm happy with what I've done this year. I mean, if it wasn't for the missing 2 rounds and having a bad Austria, I might still be up there in the championship hunt, but can't complain. I'm happy with how it's gone, but yeah, we'll see.
And perhaps better luck next time as well. We'll look forward to seeing you in Monza anyway then, as we move on to David Jones. your first podium since Spain. You must be pretty thrilled with that.
Yes. Ever after since several mishaps in all Carol and Independent series, I'm quite delighted to be back on the podium and back on fighting guys at the front.
And of course, well, Monza doesn't exactly hold happy memories for you, especially considering last year. Are you looking to put some of those demons to bed? Perhaps, get that, race win. I know that Parker's going to be looking for his own race win. You've also not got one this year after quite a few last year. I'm sure you'll be wanting to end off the season on a high.
Oh yes, sure, I wanna do. I kind of wish that some of the results, like if I could paste the results of Spain to last year, because Monza was not bad round, but I was missing the speed quite a lot, and I think I was just missing. In the end, it was like 2-3 tenths that eluded me of the championship win, so that's still holding a bit back from last season. But this season, after I'm not sure, after Spain, Portugal, there was a bit, let's say, THR pulled out because we couldn't get the trials and we just didn't feel like going on. And I kind of stayed in it for fun and drove for Lusitania. And well, I had some mishaps, I had some point scores. I'm still very high up the points list, so for Monza, I'm not gonna expect too much, even after last season. And I'm not really a liker of high-speed turns since high-speed tracks like Monza, since one tiny mistake and you're losing half a second because you take draft or you take the momentum into the next turn out to the next straight. So it's a really tough track for me. So I'm not expecting much, but hoping for more points. Yeah.
More points would always be lovely. Well, thank you very much for joining us, David, then once again. Just to fill in with Marcus, he's had his chance to have his say. He says, so hello all, I just had one chance to qualify and I crashed. So started from the back, I did a top 10 in race 1, a good battle with Tom. Second race starting from 7th, I did a good start and pushed hard to try and overtake David. He did a mistake at the bus stop chicane and I overtook him in turn 1. He claims that Marcus cut, but Marcus thinks he was all right. 2 wheels on the track, 2 on the curbs, not crossing the anti-cut. That was his races. Congratulations to all, to Martin, a great day for Drake, and of course, his first win of WSS, lest we forget. So yeah, a wonderful day there for Marcus and the Drake outfit overall as well. And now we have the big 2. Perhaps we will start with the guy who's coming into Monza from behind, Kevin Siggy. A decent race 1, but unable to hold much of a candle to the likes of La Passa and Capit, of course. And then race 2, you took some opportunities, you made it work for them, and some incredible kindness from your teammate meant that you gained an extra 2 points at the end. Do you think that you have the advantage going into the final round, especially with the less weight going into Monza?
Maybe I do, but it depends on how good you are in that track. I mean, I'm very thankful for Argo to let me through. I mean, I don't feel kind of good because of that. I mean, he threw away his podium and I'm very thankful for him, even though he lost it. And I kind of wanted to overtake Parker, but it didn't work out that much in race 2. Tried it with my best, with the best opportunities ever, and it didn't work. And even race 1, yeah, I was a little bit shy on Capit. I was a little bit too slow, maybe a little bit too stressed or something, and nothing too special. Just race 2 was good in overtake. I was good in overtaking. I got lucky in some point, and yeah, good 4th place again. And even though I'm closer to Capit, I'm not sure how it will work in Monza. I mean, I'll have to go through some things and some tactics and stuff to get it working and win the championship.
Now, myself and Sam, and a lot of people were noticing in race 1, there seemed to be a lot of cutting from you top 3. Do you feel under any threat? Because it seemed like all 3 of you cut Radion quite a few times. Did you notice that yourself and with the other drivers ahead?
Yeah, of course I noticed that, but I think it was 2 times I lifted on the straight after I cut it, because I knew I actually did cut and I wanted to lift just to lose some time just to neutralize that.
Well, interesting to hear the views of one of the guys involved. Thank you very much for joining us, Kevin. Good luck in 2 weeks' time as you head into the final bout with the man that we're going to finish off our interviews with today, Risto Capit. So, it's amazing that out of this entire championship, this is actually the first time that you started a race one actually on pole position. Of course, you got your first pole at Portugal, but wasn't able to take it due to a grid penalty. A good race from you overall, of course, finishing second to La Passa, and then a little bit more of a difficult race too for you, it seemed, but a bit of luck at the end yourself there with whatever happened to Martin. We don't know whether he let you through or whether he ran out of fuel, but either way, you gained that little bit more on Kev.
Yeah, qualifying was, well, the best of my life. It was a track that rewards good driving, but race one was good. Siggy was quite close and it was a hard fight, but he made a mistake at some point, so I got past him, so that was good. But yeah, race two was bad. I was always in the wrong place and I couldn't capitalize on the first laps, and then I was way behind, and yeah, I think I lost quite a lot of points both to Siggy and other teams. In the end, indeed, Martin let me pass, just like with Argo did with Siggy, so we both shouldn't feel bad, but yeah, quite sad. This championship shouldn't be so close. I made quite a few stupid mistakes during the season, and now it will pretty much be anybody's game in Monza, so it's very, very stressful.
I do find it very interesting that after saying all the good things about Dre, that they left through a rival outfit. I'm sure that the team bosses won't be too happy with Martin for sure. But yeah, you're going into this final round, 45 kilograms of weight ballast. You've had it for every single race one, barring, I think it was the first 2 rounds. So Spain and Portugal. Around Monza, of all the tracks, surely that's where it's going to be hurting you the most. Do you think that it's going to be damage limitation around Monza? Or do you think that you have something fine, this extra little bit in the bag which you can clinch that championship from?
First of all 2 weeks leading to this race, I practiced that Martin gave him tips and replays and setups, so I did not ask for this overtake, but it was deserved, I think. But yes, this weight. I mean, if the last season was in Spa, then yes, I could say I could find the last milliseconds to get pole like I did. But in Monza, I don't see a way. I just have to make the best of it and then be super aggressive in race 2 or something. It's going to be bad. It's going to be very bad. But well, Siggy is only 9 kilograms away, so it will probably all be about racing and a bit of luck in race 2, but it will be very close. So stressful.
It is very stressful indeed. Well, the best of luck to both of you. It's going to be a fascinating end to the championship, but for all of you at home, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait 2 weeks before we conclude the 2015 World Sports Series Championship in Monza. Until then, though, there is still plenty to look forward to. We return to the World GT Series tomorrow, where we have 2 certain Peruvians and Scuderia Basilia running away with it. But we've got some new competition for sure. We have Thomas Akers, Matthew Chergwin, new race winner Marius Nicolay in there as well, ready to try and scrape some points off the Swiss outfit. We're going to be heading to Brno circuit, wonderful circuit. So join us tomorrow there around the same time. The next week is back to the career ladder, and this time we are heading to Monza, preluding the finale of the World Sports Series. We've got Open Series and Formula Challenge on the Tuesday, Super Cup on the Wednesday, and Super League on the Thursday, and then it's back to the Independents. On Monday, we head to the Belgium Touring Cup, Circuit Zolder, lovely circuit. So tune in to watch the touring cars and Smithy go around there. And then on the Tuesday, we've got our second oval race of the year at Carolina Motorsport Park, I think it is, or one of those ones, Carolina Speedway. I'm not really a big fan of oval racing, but I should be safety carring again. Hopefully I won't get disqualified like last time. So should be good fun. You never know who's going to win those things. Then be here at the same time in 2 weeks. You do not want to miss it. Siggy versus Capit in the battle for the driver's title. It is sure to be an extraordinary affair. So, I'd like to take these final few moments to thank our wonderful cameraman, Mr. Mike Phillis, through battling through all the technical gremlins here tonight. To Sam Jones, stepping in for Stephen McCready. Lovely to have you in the box with me once again. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here, it is a very warm goodbye.